Hello again, everybody. So today is day 185 of our 1000 Dawns, and we're closing in on 2 weeks before we get to day 200, aka the first fifth of our journey would have been completed. Now, as I spoke a little bit last week, and I apologize if I'm speaking a little bit louder than usual, there are two reasons for this. One, because I finally managed to unblock my left ear, and I want to actually take a little bit of time to talk about that because it's over the last couple of years, I have had, maybe over the course of maybe a couple of months, had problems where my ears would become blocked up. And I do clean my ears pretty much every single time I use the shower, which is nigh on every day. So usually when it does get blocked up, it's basically a day and a half of abject levels of discomfort and annoyance. But when I usually after about like usually after the second day, the oil residue sort of like builds up in my ear, so that the actual wax laid deep within my ear, it's loosened up enough that if I can stick my finger in long enough and deep enough, I can actually be able to scrape out just a little bit more wax at a time until eventually I could get pretty much all of it out in a huge black clump. Because wax that usually does build up within your ears, and it blocks your eardrum, it does have a tendency of going black. And I don't know whether this is just because of how dormant it remains in your ears, or whether this is a combination of residue or a particular layer in the back of my ear. I'm not entirely sure. What I do know is that it is tremendous fun actually getting my ears cleaned, and just how much wax actually does build up in a person's ear is nothing short of extraordinary. Though for reasons that are a little bit too obvious to state, I will not be demonstrating to them for you today. Because trust me, having a blocked ear is not fun. I've never had, a situation where I've had both ears blocked, and to be honest, that's a road I don't really want to go down. Neither does really anybody else. So, that's the first little bit of extravagance as part of my extended time off work, is being able to clean my ears out. But that's good, because it means I get to hear myself properly, and I get to hear myself think, and there's plenty of things to do. But let's move away from what we're able to hear, and let's actually move on to a little bit about what we can smell. Yeah, I know this is a little bit of a strange one, but in case you're wondering why quite a lot of my workout posters and everything's been taken down, and while the door looks like a slightly different shade of eggshell white, it's because recently, earlier today, the doors have been painted. Now, the reason for this is because apparently my whole bedroom has to be completely renovated, and it's going to take at least 1 or 2 days to actually do. So what's going to happen is that by the end of tonight, I will have the majority of my things in my bedroom moved over to my sister's old bedroom, and I'll basically be living in there for about 2 days until, the whole room is completely done up. They say apparently it's a job that's been long overdue, although to be honest, it seems like just a bit of pointless faffing around when I've already got enough stuff to do even during my time off work. So it's not exactly what I would describe as, great, all things considered. But what I will say, even at this stage, is that, even if, I will be a little bit inaccessible in this room at my moment, my my chamber, so to speak, I will have maybe a little bit more time to do things outside of the house, such as actually going back to the gym. Now, to be honest, I plan on going to the gym a little bit later today, and then tonight I'll be able to do a little bit of filming, because tonight is, quiz night, so to speak. And when all of that is sorted, I'll be able to have a nice sleep in here, move stuff next door, get down to the gym, do what I need to do. Because it will be tomorrow is when the 2 weeks till the end of our first fifth will be over. And even at this stage of proceedings, how exactly am I feeling with everything I've got going on, and what exactly does it mean to make a good head start? Because I think the more we do now, the easier it is going to be. Well, to be honest, it isn't going to be any easier later on. But if we can get things done now, it means we could start building up some momentum, a rhythm, so to speak. And once that's being all said and done, it means that things coming up later on, it's going to be a little bit easier to fall into rhythm. So it won't seem nearly as difficult later on. So right now, with everything that is going on in my life, and once again, I'll have to reaffirm this by saying that the closing stages of being in my 20s has been one that is probably more laden with work and probably more laden with extremely unsocial hours than it probably will be for the rest of my life put together. However, it's probably because of that is why I think if we can manage to pull this off, there won't be a need to do unsocial hours for rather unsocial sort of pay. For there is plenty of reasons why this whole operation could be successful. It could be phenomenal if we really want it to be. And I think at bottom, that's kind of what it comes down to. Do I really want to make this a success? And when the answer to that is a resounding yes, therefore getting to work rather naturally should just be, well, very commonplace. But before we surmise ourselves with everything else has to be laid around us, we have to do, again, what comes naturally, and that is getting back to work. Always more work.